Every founder and CEO I talk to has the same exact problem. There's just not enough hours in the day, in the week, the month, or even the year, really. And too much of the time that we have goes to things that could and should be automated. Hi, I'm Travis McBurney. I founded McBurney Group, where we build custom AI solutions for your specific operations. We train your people how to use them and help you think clearly on where and how AI can help your business. The point just isn't just about saving time. It's also making sure your business can keep up with AI as AI changes, what competition even looks like.
How are you doing, Sai?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Firstly, thank you very much, Ethan, for giving me opportunity to present you on my podcast.
Yeah, of course, man. It looks like it's gonna be a fun time. I'm excited to get to know you and get the ball rolling on this. Sorry, it's been taking me so much. We've had to reschedule this like 9 times, and that's totally my fault. And I apologize.
No problem. So, before talking more about your work, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah. So my name's Ethan. I'm founder and CEO of the Cage Baseball. It's like a Top Golf, but for baseball here in Utah and in America. and yeah, I started it about well, we've been going business for about a year and a half, although I quit my full-time job to start this over 2 years ago. And we've been in business for a year and a half. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. And, I love what I do and I love the vision that I've created and excited for what's coming ahead with expansion opportunities and stuff like that. And yes, that's kind of a little bit about me and what I do.
So, what made you to start the cage?
That's a great question. So, um, as a kid, like I'd been to Top Golf. I don't know how popular that is worldwide, but in America, it's just like these giant facilities, driving range facilities. It's a little bit electronic, a little really gamified. Kind of just makes it easy for anyone to kind of feel like they can play golf. And I'd been to that a few times, and I had realized like there's not a baseball version of this, and I feel like this would be really cool to turn into something for American baseball. And I was about 16 at the time when I had that thought, and so, but it kind of just stuck with me. And eventually, I got to a point where, I just it wasn't loving my job. I felt like I was kind of just working to work and not working to live, and didn't love my career, and kind of felt like a big change was necessary. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't always know what that looked like to be an entrepreneur, uh, but I always knew I wanted to be one. And the idea that I've loved the most my whole life is just this idea of the cage. While I was in college, even I studied business in college, and a lot of business school is very project based. It's like, hey, can you create a financial analyst thing for a business that you want to start, or a business that already exists, or something like that, or a marketing plan for a business that you'd want to start over. And I always just did it on the cage. So by the time I graduated college, I had like a 180-page business plan for this idea. I knew it would work. I just was like, I don't have the funds for this, and I don't really know how to start anything like this. But I felt like I was a capable and competent person, and eventually, just it kind of was just like, you know what? If I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I got to follow the dream. I'm not going to be an entrepreneur just to do something or sell something or have a business that I don't like. I want to do something that I love. And so that's where the decision became clear that I just needed to kind of, go for it, and, never really regretted it since.
So, you was a player even in your college days.
Yeah, so I actually didn't play college baseball. My career was cut short playing baseball. I was mostly a pitcher growing up, and then my sophomore year of high school, I had a few really terrible arm injuries and wasn't really able to play after that. So my career was sadly cut short. But I love sports. I love baseball. I think baseball is one of the more like underutilized sports, especially here in Utah. We don't have a major league team, so everyone in Utah seems to think that baseball is a dying sport, when I think in reality it's doing a lot better than people think. And most of the time it's just because they haven't hit a baseball in a while. And so I wanted to give people that opportunity to, hey, I know you haven't hit it in a while. Let's do it in this non-threatening, entertainment-based environment and give it a shot. We can see what baseball is all about, because I think you'll think it's better than you think. So it's been cool to provide that opportunity.
So where did you start, and what is your support to start this?
Sorry, ask that one more time.
Where did you start? In your own place and with your own
Yeah,
team?
good question. Yeah, so no, I ended up getting like a warehouse space. A lot of like what we have going on right now with the cage, to be honest, it's super early stages. I think this could grow into something to be completely awesome. But as of right now, we have an awesome location right now. It's in West Valley City, and it's actually just in a warehouse space. Uh, it's a lot more of like a proof of concept location than it is what we really hope for it to turn into when it goes into the future and we expand and grow and make it better. We actually have a couple leads for a second location to open up where I'm going to take all the things that I didn't do right this first time and fix them and make them better. But for right now, it's just a warehouse space. And yeah, I think if I was to redo it again, I probably would have been a lot more picky with my location because it's not an ideal. It's kind of in an industrial park, and I probably would want to put it in a better spot. Uh, you don't know, and we're just going to keep forward and picking up where both what we have.
So what's your objective with the cage?
So with the objective, in that hood kind of has their local version of the cage. They take environment. We probably want to keep our locations relatively small. Like it'll probably just be more like individual little shops, but the goal is to expand it throughout the nation. Yeah. So the objective, like what we're planning on moving forward, is we want to franchise it. We want to probably just have have a local of the cage in every city in the U.S. if we can. So that's kind of our next little objective and next goal is to get the cage to a place where we can just copy and paste it. We don't currently have a location that I feel comfortable copying and pasting it. So we're gonna have to start another location and then eventually, franchise and expand.
So what are you up to? Uh, I mean, I mean, you have started 1.5 year ago, and where you have reached today, and how it's going on.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of things to monitor, because this is kind of a new concept and stuff like that. Investors and banks are just a little bit hesitant to enter into the space because it's just a very unproven space. And so right now we're just kind of collecting a lot of data. We want to have a lot of numbers on hand just to prove the concept and stuff like that. And then um, once we feel like we have enough data, then it's time to we'll get on the FDD, get some of the lawyers involved, and get pushing forward. So we're close to that point right now. We've definitely been doing a lot of window shopping on what that looks like moving forward. But as far as like being able to pull the trigger right now, it wouldn't feel totally comfortable, and so we're just kind of like waiting for the right time to strike.
Tell us about your team.
So for the most part, it's just me right now. I had a wonderful team of people that helped me open and start my first location. Grateful for them. They each have their own little bit of ownership stake from what they did at the beginning there. Just helping me out, painting the walls of the facility, installing nets and stuff like that. I had a lot of really good help. But as of right now, as far as managing it and leading it, it's just me. I have 6 employees that are all high school kids that they come and man the location when I'm not there. It's a pretty easy job for a high school kid. So that's kind of the whole team right now. It's just me at the head, and then my 6 high school kids that run the first location that we have right now.
So there are many people who will be very much interested in playing baseball. So how does it play? And I mean, do you need training for that, or and what kind of a location that actually required to play this game?
Yeah, so we pride ourselves on having very low barrier of entry, like super low skill. So The way that our machine works is basically we have a screen, right? There's a pitching machine behind the screen, and the ball comes out of the screen. The ball comes out about 15 feet away from home plate, and it's almost as if I was just standing there in front of you, just lobbing it to you. So
Mhm.
it's pretty easy to hit. If you can hit a pickleball or a tennis ball or whatever, you can hit this. It's not going to be too difficult. I think it's actually quite a bit easier than hitting a golf ball, in my opinion. Uh, so it's pretty simple. And then like if you're you bring in like a 3-year old, it's probably a little bit too intense for a 3-year old, but we do have a tee there. So even if you wanted to bring a 3-year old, they wanted to hit a couple balls. We do have a tee that you can just set the ball on the tee and it'd still track it for you. And then like as well as like the technology that we have for our system is one, we have 5 different game modes that you can choose from. You can have like home run derby. There's like a point-based game mode. You can actually play like a real game, stuff like that. But you can also play with the settings quite a bit. The most important setting, in my opinion, is the boost setting. You can actually like put a boost onto your hit, so it goes further in the simulation than you actually hit it. So like if your 8-year-old kid can only hit a ball 150 feet, well, you add a little bit of boost to it. He's hitting it like 500 feet in the simulation, so it makes it a lot more enjoyable for him to see his ball fly on the big screen or whatever. So it's pretty low skill required. You can up the speed of the pitch. So you can, play with that. We can get it simulating close to about 80, 85 miles an hour. So that gets pretty competitive for pretty much anyone. But yeah, there's a lot of different variables of skill and stuff like that. But we kind of specialize ourselves in being for beginners.
What's the age group think from and till when they can able to play this game?
Yeah, so I mean, again, because we have our T mode and everything, like I would say, if you can pick up a baseball bat, you're probably good to go. So I'd say anywhere from like 4, and then we have a lot of like old people come in too and like show off to their grandkids. So we get some 60-year-olds swinging bats in there. So the goal is to make baseball for everyone, and I think we did a really good job of that because we see the widest range of customers come in. Um, Swinging a bat. I will say like our biggest customer are little league kids. Like if you have a kid between the age of like 8 and like 15 that plays little league, they're probably the driving influence of why you're there. Whether they're bringing their friends or bringing their family along, but everyone seems to have a good time. People come in thinking like, "Oh, we're not going to play. We're just going to watch. Do we still have to pay to watch?" And I just tell them like, "Hey, you do have to pay to watch, but you're probably going to end up playing. Everyone ends up playing. Like it's not. It's it's pretty much for everyone."
So once after getting out of the university, getting graduation, so what is that particular reason you want to be an entrepreneur starting this game, the baseball? Like there must be something you know that made you to start this, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything totally in university that made me do it. Like I kind of always thought like it'd be good to be an entrepreneur. I think I actually probably learned more about my desire to be an entrepreneur while actually like having my first job out of college, if that makes sense. So like when I graduated and I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but um, I don't know if I'm quite ready yet. I don't know exactly what I want to go full steam ahead on. So I got a tech sales job. So I did tech sales for a couple years for a great company. It's called Awardco, and I was just an SDR there. So I was mostly just cold calling. Uh, I had cold called for 2 years, and I actually didn't mind it too much. I have a pretty good work ethic. I didn't mind it a ton, but eventually got to the point where it kind of wore me out, and it seemed like um, it became pretty obvious they weren't going to move me forward. Like I wasn't going to get promoted anytime soon. And I think a lot of it was I just kind of found that it feels like other people don't seem to value me as much as I feel like God values me or as much as I value myself. And I was like, if that's the case, if I truly believe that, let's test it. Let's test that theory. If I truly believe other people will never value me as much as I value myself or God values me, let's test it. Let's see if I'm worth more being outside of the workforce than I am on the inside. And so that's where becoming an entrepreneur became pretty obvious for me. Where I was like, hey, I'm wanting to test the theory that I think I can do cooler and better things and make more money, you know, outside of having people value me rather than just being valued by myself. So that's what became like honestly the biggest motivator to become an entrepreneur. Was probably more like that work experience. University was awesome, but I don't think it was like, oh, I graduated, now I'm just ready to be an entrepreneur. Like I think I wasn't necessarily that guy. No.
So why physical game? I mean, why you wanted to be in sports rather than doing a job which needs a intellectual or the knowledge or the education related role.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think it's just like something that I felt like I had a lot of experience in just because I played a lot of sports. Obviously, starting a sports business is really different than like being an
Yeah,
athlete or
yeah.
following sports. It's probably a bit of a bold jump to go from that to that. But I don't know. Like when I finally got to the point where I was like, I really don't feel like my bosses or the people that are evaluating me at Award Co truly understand what my value is, and I feel like I could be more valuable either somewhere else or doing my own thing. I had a bunch of different business ideas. Obviously I'd done a lot of like my university work, uh, building out a concept for Top Golf for baseball that I thought would be interesting. Um, and that was like my favorite idea. But I also was like, I don't know if that's what I have the most experience in. I don't know what the industry is doing, like what the market is for this kind of thing. Like it's definitely a little bit more risky. So I actually I had a big notepad like with just business ideas. I've always like thought it was fun to like just create business ideas, and so I've always had this note sheet that I just run where whenever I have an idea of like a way to solve a problem, I just write it down and just sit and ponder on it for a little bit. And so I had that list, and I had about 50 ideas, and I made business plans for about 10 of the 50 ideas that I thought were probably either the most promising or the most exciting to me. And what it really came down to is like all of them were going to be somewhat profitable. Some would take more work than others, some wouldn't. But it was just so clear as looking through those things that I was the most excited about the cage. And then it became more of a question of like, okay, the earning potential maybe isn't quite as high with this idea as I had with the other ideas. But like I'm dedicating my life to this. Like part of me is more like, for me, I know that I value like my own personal joy and excitement more than I value money. Money's gonna come and go. Like I couldn't care less, dude. I can fend for myself. It's whatever. I'm a single dude. I don't need a ton. Like I just want to be fulfilled in what I do on my daily basis. And so that knowing that about myself, that's where the decision to be like, you know what, the cage is just because I was like, that is something that I'm going to be waking up 30 years from now and still just be like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, this is awesome. Like, I love what I do. And because I knew that was going to be the case, that's where like, even though the numbers, they made sense, but they didn't make sense as like some other things that I had come up with. That's where the decision was like that. This is the direction I need to go with whatever business I decided to do.
So I'm professional sportsman as well. I play cricket. It's a global game.
Yeah.
Widely played, and which is which the baseball is very close. You
Mhm.
also play with the same, but there is a lot of difference. So I played top level cricket for my in my country, and I know that excites you when you're playing a sport. Being in I also have a couple of degrees that I have done in technology. So, but I have enjoyed a lot in being in the ground and playing the sport and having that you know enjoying that getting that excitement. What you wanted this game to you want this game to reach everywhere in US, the states as well. So, what are those things that people actually don't notice or don't know about baseball that you wanted to touch the cage?
Yeah, so I mean, like, what's funny is, yeah, so cricket, baseball, pretty hand in hand. We actually have a lot of cricket players come try out the cage, and they love it. So it's the similarities, even though it is very different in a lot of ways. You got the circle field rather than the diamond field. There's hitting a ball with a stick is just you. So especially I think dudes just have this manly urge to just hit a ball with a stick sometimes, and so any way that you can find to do that, I think you're probably in the right direction. So, um, yeah, so I think like with me, like and maybe this is more specific just to Utah than it is like a totally like national thing for the U.S. But like in Utah, like I was told for a long time how, I tell people I was a baseball player, and they at least in Utah, there's kind of like a negative stigmatism around it, just a little bit, where they're like, "Oh, baseball's boring," or "Baseball's dying." Like no one plays baseball. Like, does anybody even watch baseball anymore, or whatever? And it just seemed like there's kind of been this narrative where that baseball is this dying sport and that it's not fun. And I don't know. Like to me, I'm like, if you really don't think that, like, step up to the plate and hit a ball. Like it's like you're gonna have the time of your life. Like it's just the greatest feeling to square up a baseball. And so my idea was like, if I can get more people to at least step up to the plate and square up a baseball and feel how good that it feels, there's an addiction level to that. There's like it gets kind of addicting pretty quick, and it's exciting. And I wanted people to feel that. I wanted people to um, get that itch and scratch it a little bit. And because I feel like if they were able to just try it, they would understand it better, and they would probably change their opinion on it a little bit. I will say, like, Utah doesn't have an MLB team to follow, so people kind of just generally think nobody watches baseball anymore here. Where, like, if you go to New York or you go to Philadelphia, you ask anybody on the street how the Phillies are doing, like everybody knows. Everybody watches the Phillies. Like where you have, it's very good, kind of a localized sport where if you have a team in your local city, you're probably following them to a certain extent. You know how they're doing. But if you don't, it just feels like baseball's dead. It just feels like it doesn't exist. And so, like in Utah, it kind of feels like it doesn't exist sometimes. And so that's where I was like, I want to start like a little bit of a movement for that. And, I think there's probably room to target a lot of cities that don't have a big MLB influence, to try to get them to like, try it out, square up your first baseball and see if it scratches an itch for you. See if you get that, like, that adrenaline rush, that addiction. And that's kind of what the cage wants to be. Like, it's going to be the affordable, easy, entertainment based way to get in that bat.
You want to train people?
No, I don't think I necessarily want to train people. I just want to get people to, like, it's actually not hard to swing a baseball bat. Anyone can really do it. I just want more people doing it. And if you do it, you'll square up one and you'll know how it feels, and you might not be able to get away from it. So kind of similar to golf in that way. You hit your first good drive and you're like, okay, well now this is like a lifelong goal for me. I want to chase that feeling again. So yeah, I don't necessarily personally need, like, I'm not good enough to train anyone, probably, to be honest. I'm a decent coach, but I'm happy. I'm going to be excited to coach my kids someday. But as far as me training people, I don't know if that's the best route for me.
So the game is the baseball is already there in other states in US, but you want to start and you want to make people to get into this.
Yeah, so like baseball is already, like, it's been America's pastime for 100 years, right? But like over the course of time, as far as like the entertainment industry and stuff like that goes, the coverage for sports has turned away from baseball and more towards basketball and football. And so people tend to be thinking that baseball is kind of a dying sport, and that it's not as live as it used to be. I would probably say that that's probably incorrect, but for me, like, baseball is one of the hardest sports to just like pick up and play, right? Like, if we're going to play basketball, all you need is 10 dudes in a hoop. If you're going to play tennis, you just need 4 people in a court. If you're going to go, there's a lot of easy entry sports in the world right now. Baseball, you have to collect 18 dudes, to go play a pickup game of baseball, and 2 of them have to pitch. And in order for it to be competitive, you got to, like, everyone's got to kind of be able to play a little bit, or else it kind of becomes a little bit of a waste of time. So it's just really hard to play like a pickup game of baseball. Like, it's a very hard. There's a very high barrier of entry to kind of playing baseball because of how many people that you need and the skill level required. So basically, the concept of the cage is to say, hey, let's take away all those barriers of entry. Let's just make it super easy. Anyone to be able to come play. You don't need to have 18 people. You just need to have a credit card and you just got to walk in and you can play. And that's what the whole batting cage experience is about. And we want to make it so the batting cage is actually fun. Like one of the tough parts about hitting in a batting cage, you don't get to see the ball fly, right? It just hits the net and it's done. If you squared it up good, but like it's kind of an unsatisfying thing where the ball just kind of hits and comes down. So how do we create an electronic version where we can have that same enclosure, but you still feel like you're seeing your ball travel and hit and stuff like that, and getting that excitement to it. And that's what the cage kind of presents is like, hey, instead of trying to play a pickup game of baseball where you have to grab 18 people, 2 of them have to pitch, let's just go to the cage. It's way easier. It's way more fun. You get to see your hits fly on the big screen. It just makes baseball easier and more accessible.
Creating that environment. So how for you to do that? And now you wanted to make this everywhere in US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, like basically, it's just at that point we're trying to open up new stores, new locations and stuff like that because it is a physical location. Like I'm not selling a video game, that people can put in their house or put in their Xbox, right? This is like more like a brick and mortar idea where, hey, like this is what you want to do for your evening. I think probably in a more comparable way in how you're spending your time as a consumer. It'd be like, hey, like we want to go out tonight. What are we going to do? For most people, the first idea they come up with is like bowling. Hey, let's go bowling. Top golf is obviously a lot more popular. You got hatchet throwing, stuff like that. To me, like, hey, if we can add the cage to that mix, we're like, hey, let's go play baseball. Let's like go like just easy entry, fun way to play baseball. We can adjust settings so everyone can hit a home run. Let's do that. So that's kind of where I think it's more in the mix of that conversation than it is like, hey, like we want baseball people and baseball lovers to play. We're obviously going to get a lot of baseball players coming in. This is awesome technology and baseball players are dazzled by it. But to me, it's like, if we can get like our audience to be like 60% non-baseball players, that's the winning formula. Like we want people that don't play baseball to say, hey, for my date night tonight, we're going to go hit some balls. It's going to be fun and create an environment for that.
You want to sell the franchising.
Sorry, say that one more time.
You want to give your brand to other states and people to use it.
Yeah. So that's like the goal of franchising it is just to is rapid expansion, just trying to expand into different states to different people and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the direction that I see it going.
So when you want to start it, you have already started it doing
franchising. No, we haven't started franchising yet. Again, I'm kind of waiting for the right moment. Like this market is severely untested. So we do need to have a little bit more time to know that, hey, this works and it works over an extended period of time before we say, hey, let's just have everyone do it. So we're being very cautious about, hey, how much time and data that we need to then move forward. So because we don't want to set this up for a gigantic mistake. We want to make sure that we, level out risk and stuff like that. So all the like data collection we're doing right now is more to like level out risk for the potential franchising. But we're close. We're on the way for that to be a real possibility in the next year or two.
so. And at last, what do you say about the cage to my audience who are listening this and watching this?
I mean, wait for a cage location near you. I know your audience probably isn't a bunch of Utahns, so you might get a lot more people from Utah listening to this podcast because I'm on it, which is cool, and I hope that expands your audience too. But yeah, like to your audience, like I don't know. To me, this is maybe less about promoting my business in the cage because we probably don't have one near you. But more, it's probably just like, hey, you have a lot of business oriented people that listen to this podcast. Like there's a lot of different, I think a lot of the, like my message would be like, hey, pick what your motivation is, know what you're motivated by, and send it for your dream kind of thing. Like for me, I wasn't very motivated by money. I was motivated by creating a lifestyle that I want to live. If that's you, create that business that creates that lifestyle. If you're really chasing money, there's a lot of really good ideas out there that are going to generate a lot of money. So, but you do have to go for it and just believe in yourself.
And at last, as an entrepreneur, as a graduate, and as a person who created something that is not existed before, what's your observation about my work? You seen any videos of mine?
Yeah, dude. I love what you're doing, man. You're spreading the good word of business, dude. You're killing it out there. I'm happy. I love being on and being invited to be on. You're collecting a lot of brilliant minds. You're collecting bunch of brilliant stories, and there's a lot to be said about people's stories. People's experiences are real, and being able to share and experience and like those experiences with an audience, it creates a community, and communities are important. So I think what you're doing is awesome.
I've done masters in software engineering, also bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm working as a DevOps engineer for a London company remotely from India. So that's my full time role. Apart from that, I'm interviewing entrepreneurs like you, making things happen and who are inspiring the world and something from nothing and introducing something to the world and making it successful. Me having conversations like this and presenting them and asking questions about what they do and what's their motivation, knowing their story and knowing about their business model and exactly it works. So these kind of and conversations, I have done 870 interviews in the last 6 to 7 years. Uh, interviewed the world leader, Amazon services vice president and Salesforce vice president, and hundreds of chief executive officers and founders of different businesses, uh, and then business owners in the row that I'm going to interview next. So how these kind of diversified conversations are going to be helpful for me in future.
Yeah. Well, I'm pumped for you, dude. You got full steam ahead. You got a lot of grind. You got a lot of work ethic. You're an impressive individual. So I'm happy to have been able to speak with you.
Can you share your website to my podcast listeners? Can you spell it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's www dot the cage THECAGE dash. There's like a hyphen in the middle. Baseball BASEBALL.com. So the cage dash baseball.com.
On social media, the same name.
Social media is just at Cage Baseball. So that's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We post a ton of videos trying to share our brand. So that's a great place to follow us. It's just at Cage Baseball, CAGE BASEBALL.
Can I put this conversation on my podcast with your permission?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you again, Ethan, for your valuable time and giving answers to some of my questions and sharing about the case to my audience.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to have done it, man. You're a stud.
Thank you, sir. Again, take care.
Yeah, bye bye.